Hey guys, it's Ricky here. For the last 30 days, I've been using the brand new Galaxy Z Fold 6 to answer one question. Is it really worth using a foldable in 2024? Believe it or not, the original Galaxy Z Fold 1 launched just a little over 5 years ago, which means the foldable market is pretty mature at this point. Which begs the question, have they really improved much since the original? I mean, some of the flashy things like throwing an under-display camera and making the bezels significantly smaller are obvious. But for me, there's a lot of notable upgrades coming from the Fold 3. But if you're coming from a Fold 5 or even other foldable phones, there's not a whole lot new here. In fact, the biggest question with this phone is, why the extra $100? Now, before we dive into all of that, I do want to talk about daily performance. And guys, just as I mentioned with the S24 Ultra, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 in here is an incredible processor. And with the display canvas that this phone has, it very well can handle multiple apps all at once. For me, that's not a use case that I would daily. In fact, my favorite use case was to just drive a regular app and just throw a picture-in-picture up in the corner, which you totally could do on any other phone. But this phone handles all of that with a breeze. I honestly can't even recall a singular time that this phone slowed down. I mean, the only real time I ever saw the phone chug was when I was doing AI tasks, which we'll dive into a little bit later. And next up, I want to talk about the displays. And guys, both the 6.3-inch external display and the 7.6-inch internal display are incredible displays. Firing at over 2600 nits at peak brightness, the 120 hertz doesn't ever feel laggy or slow. It really comes down to what type of form factor you're looking for in a foldable phone. The Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold is more of just a regular smartphone that just so happens to have a tablet buried inside of it. This phone feels more like you have a small phone that's just a little too tall and a tablet on the inside. But I will warn users who may have just a traditional smartphone, if you're looking to get a bigger viewing experience for watching content, unless you're watching a lot of older movies in a 4:3 aspect ratio, you're not really going to get more of a canvas using this phone. In fact, it's going to feel more bulbous and bulky than it will ever feel like you're just carrying around a nice tablet for watching videos. The displays always want to be utilized in either like a paired mode or some sort of multitasking function. If you find yourself texting while also browsing social media or checking on your emails while doing something else, this phone is incredible for that. But with these displays, I do want to mention that just like the S24 Ultra, the 2600 nits of peak brightness is incredible. One, you can keep it up for a long time. In fact, in all of my testing, just like the other phones before it, if you're outside in hot weather with direct sunlight, that peak brightness does not last for very long. I will note that having seen other foldable displays, I do feel like Samsung's crease has gotten better, but it still isn't something great. I feel like other foldable phones have handled the crease better than they have. When it comes to the display on this phone, it's not the absolute best in its category, which is honestly crazy that I'm talking about a Samsung phone and mentioning that it's not the best display in its respective category. And that leads us to battery life. Guys, the battery life on the Z Fold 6 is okay. But in a world with great battery life coming from the Ultras, the Pro Maxes, and even the Pro XLs, it's hard to go from a battery experience that is so consistently good to going to something that is just okay, especially one that a device begs to be used. This phone wants you to take time and actually indulge in content. It wants you to use it. So when the phone gives you warnings at 6 p.m. saying that you're most likely not going to make it through the rest of the day, it's a struggle. And having been so comfy, especially if you've watched my last video, the S24 Ultra had such good battery life for an Android phone that coming to this phone, I was hoping for at least decent battery life, but if you utilize the inner display much, you're not going to get there. But that also directs you to another part of the phone, which is the external display. As my usage went on, I did get better battery life, but that was also because I matured as a foldable user. I began using the external display for more and more tasks. These things I had relegated to the inner display, I had begun to use the external display for, so therefore I got better battery life, but it also began to defeat the whole purpose of using a Fold to begin with, which is you want a tablet in your pocket. It's kind of a conundrum. The battery life on here needs to be marketably better in order to promote that internal display usage. I don't feel like the battery leaps that we're hoping for, especially by the 6th generation of these phones, are here. And I'm hoping that with the next generation that Samsung will take time to improve upon them. Now, I do want to talk about cameras. And I do want to keep this section a bit short because they're just okay. Nothing on this phone screams premium in the camera department. In fact, Samsung themselves have admitted that by beginning to work on a Galaxy Z Fold Special Edition, which will feature the 200 megapixel sensor we believe comes from the S24 Ultra. So when you can get a phone, especially these days, at a discount that packs better cameras for less, but gets better battery life and has so many other pros, it's just not that great of a feeling. I'm hoping that maybe with this lesson being learned that Samsung will just commit to it. The camera bump hasn't gotten smaller, so I think at this point it's better to just pack in at least the main sensor from the S24 Ultra. Giving that main lens on this phone, especially when you want to promote it as a potential selfie camera, would be a huge boon for this Fold line. Now, something I wanted to touch upon in relation to the question I asked at the beginning of this video are the durability concerns. And guys, for me, the biggest feature that I feel has been overlooked generation after generation of foldables has been the durability concern in general. In the first week of owning this phone, I began to hear a cracking sound. Unfortunately, by the time I began to film this video, it had gone away, and I don't know if it just had vanished, but it's very common to get some dust in the hinge. As someone who owns multiple animals, I don't feel as safe leaving this phone out while watching a video or consuming content as I do with my regular phones. And I think that is just one of the things that is overlooked when talking about these devices. I do personally feel that one of the biggest reasons you buy and invest in a device is for it to last for a long time. So when it comes to this particular phone, knowing that the display can still be scratched by a fingernail is a downside. I'm hoping to see some bigger enhancements come to the inner display. It's something that this phone and other foldables desperately need to get people like myself to fully switch. I'm hoping to see that the competition in this industry will push the display technology further so that we can begin to have that same comfort and peace of mind that we've become accustomed to with a traditional slab phone. And that moves us right on to Galaxy AI. I don't feel like anything besides Circle the Search, which I had demonstrated on the S24 Ultra, is really super useful. But Circle the Search came to other phones via software updates, so it's not really locked behind hardware. When it comes to some of these other features, I just don't see a reason to use them. I tried drawing a table in on a photo that I took, and it did admirably pretty well, given that it was a panorama photo. For me, a lot of the AI features at this point in time aren't really where I'm hoping for them to be. It's cute that you can enhance a drawing or that you can change your selfie into a very creepy, cartoonish version of yourself, but I don't really see myself using that daily. That is really the main question of Galaxy AI in general. What is the future usability of all these features? Yes, the translate function is useful, but we've had translate services on phones for years. While these large language models are beginning to mature, the main things that we are being sold are just software features. The features that this phone holds are a lot of features that could be rolled out to the Z Fold 5. Again, once you get past some of the gimmicks, there's not a whole lot of substance to Galaxy AI. Now, really quick, I do want to talk about the price. I do feel like the value proposition given for this phone does not warrant the additional $100. I don't really understand where that additional $100 is going, given that a lot of the fundamentals weren't improved here. And given that the competition is maintaining that $1,800 price tag, why would you go with the Z Fold 6 when you could get the Pixel 9 Pro Fold? But I'm hoping that in the future, Samsung will add a little bit more value to the already outstanding cost of this phone in order to make that price make a whole lot more sense. Now, to answer the question I asked at the beginning of this video, is it really worth using a foldable in 2024? If you're someone who multitasks each and every day and is looking for one device to solve it all, then yeah, it totally is. But I would recommend looking at some of the other phones out there. I think that the new Google Pixel Fold is something exciting. As for the Z Fold 6, I think it's an incredible piece of hardware. And if you're looking for something that's a little bit more thin on the external display, it's easily the best foldable that's out there. But ultimately for me, I need foldables to improve on a few core pieces. I need the durability to match or at least be close to a traditional slab phone. I need the cameras to mirror the other flagships in the lineup. And last but not least, I need the battery life to at least be better than just okay. So with all that said, I just want to thank you for getting to the end of the video. If you are curious on what phone I changed to, I did list my Google Pixel 9 Pro XL impressions up here. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.